Hello everyone, this presentation is about the membership structure in the OpenMP Architecture Review Board. I'm Michael Clem, I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the OpenMP ARB, and let's just dive right into the contents, and I'm going to start with what is the OpenMP ARB. So our mission is to develop and standardize a programming language that is based on directive, as OpenMP is, that is multi-language. So the base languages here are C, C++, and Fortran. And what we want to achieve is to have high-level parallelism, so you don't have to care about specific low-level details. And we want that high-level parallelism to be performant, productive, and portable. And that's what we do with OpenMP and the application programming interface. The upcoming specification that we are going to release mid of November is OpenMP 5.1. That's our next minor release on the way to have OpenMP as one core component of the exascale era. We do publish the OpenMP API specification as a book. Usually the main channel for us to publish the OpenMP specification is as an online PDF. In the recent years, we have started to also publish the specification as books for those users and community members who want to print the spec and have it sitting on their desk in easy reach or a good-looking book in their bookshelf. But we also do publish the OpenMP specification as an HTML version on the website. Anyways, if you want to get that book, get it at Amazon. The link is on that page and in the video. Once we have released the online PDF, we will also release the corresponding book version at Amazon. We sell it at wholesale price. The OpenMP ARB is a non-profit organization, so essentially we do just charge you for the printing cost at the Amazon publishing service. So why does OpenMP matter? Well, first of all, OpenMP is an open industry standard. It does matter. It's driving the HPC industry since 1997. It is widely adopted and implemented across the ecosystem. There are countless implementations ranging from Intel, IBM, NVIDIA, to the open source compilers like GCC and Clang. The good thing about this being an open standard is that anyone can use it for free, right? So we don't charge any license fees to our users or implementers. We just publish the specification to the public, and anyone who's interested in or has a vested interest to implement it can download the specification, implement it, and sell a product around it. It is maintained, as I already said, by industry-leading companies. We'll get back to that in a minute. And key national labs, compute centers, and universities influence it. So we have a good representation between the leading vendors of HPC systems and compilers for these systems and the user community and the leading large-scale compute centers who have a vested interest in how OpenMP develops. And we as a joint group make sure that common practice in HPC is standardized as part of OpenMP. And as already said, it has been helping to shape HPC since 1997. This is when the first version of OpenMP came out for Fortran. And ever since then, OpenMP was driving HPC and shared memory parallelism in the ecosystem. The OpenMP roadmap is actually very well defined. We have a 5-year cadence for major releases. In between, we do a minor release, at least one minor release. This year, we have decided that we add OpenMP 5.2 as a second minor release before OpenMP 6 comes out. And in between the releases, we try to stay active and engaged with the community by publishing at least one additional technical report that shows feature previews before, so that the community can actually interact with us and give us feedback on the direction we're developing. If you want to visualize that, so I put a timeline on this slide. So OpenMP 5.0, that was our last major release in November 2018. As I already said, OpenMP 5.1 will be released this November. OpenMP 5.2 right now, the next minor release is scheduled for November 21. November 22, we will not have a full OpenMP release, but OpenMP 6 will then be the next major version coming out in November 2023. And as I already said, in the years where we don't do a full release, we at least publish technical reports. So in November 2019, we had technical report 8 as a preview to OpenMP 5.1. This July, I believe it was, we published a public comment draft, technical report 9, that contained kind of the final thoughts about the OpenMP 5.1 specification. Shortly before we launch OpenMP 5.2, we will have another public comment draft, TR10, to show what will be coming in OpenMP 5.2. November 22 will be TR11, kind of as a first preview towards OpenMP 6, and then, as usual, public comment draft shortly before OpenMP 6 is released. And then, future looking, we will have more technical reports coming to show what the thinking of the OpenMP ARB is. Now, coming back to the members, this is a logo list of the renowned members that we have on board in the OpenMP Architecture Review Board. If you go through the list, you see all the important HPC and IT vendors, both for regular traditional host execution, like regular processors, but also GPUs and accelerators. And when you also look through the list of non-vendor members, we have the top-notch labs of the DOE in the US, as well as the Tier 0 compute centers from Europe and Japan. The membership evolution, just to break these members down into membership categories. So since 2018, we do have a new membership structure to ease the access to the ARB. I'll have more details on the next slide about this. That's just as an explanation why the colors change right in the middle of the graph. As you can see, the membership has been growing steadily. So over time, more and more members joined our community and the ARB to give feedback and provide input into the technical specification process and the way we develop OpenMP. Now, as you can see, since 2018, we have 3 membership classes: advisor, member, and contributor. And the membership structure basically says that ARB members, that's the highest membership category, they get a say in technical discussions and organizational decisions. So they actually can influence the strategy of the ARB as a nonprofit company. Of course, they have voting rights. So first of all, on the organizational decisions and organizational topics, but they also have voting rights on technical topics. So that means change tickets, technical report, and specification documents. ARB and advisors and ARB contributors are slightly cheaper in the yearly dues. They can contribute to the technical discussions, and they have voting rights on the technical topics, again, tickets, technical reports, and specification documents. If you're interested in joining, and if you want to influence the direction of OpenMP, please let me know. You can contact me at ceo@openmp.org, or you can get in touch with us through our website, through Twitter, through Facebook, through LinkedIn, and some other social media channels that I can't name because there are so many that we're engaged with. The development process that you can influence as a member looks as follows. So the modifications to the OpenMP specification go through a couple of steps usually. First, it starts with a proposal. This is a proposal that can come in from research teams, from user communities, or from vendors. This proposal is then implemented in LaTeX. That's the primary language that we use to develop the specification document. Then there are 2 votes in the process to make sure that everybody in the ARB and in the language committee is aware of the proposal and the implementation and the specification. If the proposal and the implementation passes all 2 votes, then that patch or that modification to the specification is merged to the mainline version, our current draft of OpenMP. And then there's a verification pass that makes sure that all the stuff that we applied is actually implemented correctly. There are a couple of cycles. So typically what happens when a new proposal comes up, it is iterated a couple of times to make sure that it's going into the right direction and that all the technical merits are discussed, as well as all the technical issues that may arise when somebody tries to implement that in an OpenMP implementation. The implementation in LaTeX, of course, is also an iterative process where, we will do refinements to the specification text to make sure it's in line with the style that OpenMP as a text uses, but also that everything that needs to be touched in the specification is actually being touched. And verification, of course, can also be an iterative process to make sure that we don't introduce any unnecessary bugs. The release process for specification. So going from the draft document that contains a couple of those tickets that are implemented in the mainline version, we do a corrections pass. So basically, as part of the quality assurance, we read the specification back to back and make sure that we try to find everything that we possibly can find. We do an editing pass to make the document look pretty, like, pagination and stuff. Then we release that as a common draft so that the community can come back with feedback. That is then turned into the final draft, and once the ARB members approve the specification document, it is going to be ratified and released to the website, and then consequently to Amazon for people to print the book. All right, as a member, you can also be part of the user outreach and education. There are a couple of events throughout the year that are very, very important to us in our community. So first of all, there's OpenMPCon. That's a user group conference where people who just use OpenMP or have thoughts about OpenMP or want to engage with the OpenMP ARB can come, give a presentation, network, interact with the ARB members, and just have a good time talking about OpenMP technical topics. Then there's IWOMP, the International Workshop on OpenMP. That is the research workshop where it's following the traditional paper publication process. So people submit a paper draft, which is going through a program committee, and then once invited to the workshop, they can give a presentation. They appear in the proceedings. So the idea is similar to OpenMPCon, but it's more like, in line with academia and the regular research process. Then there's an OpenMP user group in the UK. They also have a yearly conference where, similar to OpenMPCon, people can simply come and interact and discuss issues, findings, feedback around OpenMP with some of the available ARB members. And then, of course, supercomputing and international supercomputing. These are the two major events for HPC in general. At SC, OpenMP usually has a booth. This year, of course, we do have a virtual booth. But this is our natural conference where we also interact with the community. We give out a lot of OpenMP swag to our community so that they can show their OpenMP pride. And ISC, of course, is also in Germany is a big HPC event. At both, we do have OpenMP tutorials, OpenMP talks, and that kind of stuff. If you want to know about that, check out the website. There's an events calendar where you can find the specific details about those conferences and also the links to registration, submission websites, and the program. All right, so to summarize, why should you be joining the OpenMP ARB? Well, there's 5 good reasons. I'm sure there's many more, but these are the 5 that I could come up with. So OpenMP is important, and it's our members' mission to keep it that way. So if you care about OpenMP, please come talk to us. We will be happy to help you with questions, but also take your feedback and accept you as a member to help us drive OpenMP as a very important HPC program model. As a member, of course, you get first-hand access to all the drafts of the specification document. When you look back at the documentation process, you will see, there's going to be a couple of drafts, and you will see all those drafts, and you can talk to us, and you can influence those drafts and work with us to refine them and improve them. We do actively solicit input from the community, and we welcome new members who want to help shape OpenMP's future. So anything that you may have in terms of thoughts or requests for improvements or potential shortcomings of OpenMP in terms of what you need for your applications, then this is the right way to come and see us as a member to help us improve OpenMP. And then finally, we're a fun crowd to work with. We have very smart and bright people on the architecture review board coming from all sorts of different domains and with scientific backgrounds. And so there's a lot of also non-OpenMP fun that you can have with our members in terms of scientific discussions and other discussions of interest. If you want to know more, come and visit openmp.org for information. Everything I just said is basically reflected there, and plus many more details. So if you really are interested, browse to our website and look for information, or get in touch with us through any of the channels that I already mentioned. That's what I had to say. Thank you for listening, and have a good time. Stay safe. Bye-bye.